Evening descended on the narrow streets of Varanasi, where the Ganges River washed the old steps by the water. The city where past and present meet has seen many crimes, but this case was special. Rahul, a 35-year-old businessman who owned several restaurants across the city, felt on top of the world. He achieved everything himself. He grew up in a poor family, but thanks to hard work and intelligence, he became successful. However, behind the success was a dark secret. Rahul was married to the beautiful and young Anushka. Their marriage seemed perfect, but Rahul knew it was built on lies. Anushka, the daughter of a famous politician, was not only beautiful, but also a smart lawyer. She suspected that her husband was hiding something, but she had no proof. Living in a luxurious house overlooking the Ganges, she felt cold in her heart because of her suspicions. One evening when Rahul came home late, he found a letter on the table. It only read, "Your secret is revealed. Get ready." His hands shook as he reread the letter several times. Who could it be? Business partner? Ex-lover? Or someone from his past? After that, Rahul started receiving strange calls from unknown numbers. No one spoke on the other end of the line. Only a low whisper could be heard. He became more and more tense and decided to talk to Anushka, but she didn't seem to suspect anything. In fact, she had her own plan. She started following her husband by hiring a private detective. She soon found out that Rahul was often seeing a woman named Lakshmi, an old acquaintance. It seemed like just the beginning of what she could learn. One of the evening meetings took place near a ghat on the outskirts of the city, where the shadow hid them from prying eyes. Anushka arrived there with the evidence collected by the detective ready to talk, but what she saw changed everything. Rahul was standing by the water with a small package in his hands. He slowly untied it, and an old bracelet fell out. It was a bracelet that he had once given to Lakshmi, but now it was back in his hands. Anushka understood that her husband was connected to Lakshmi not only by friendship. The bracelet was the key to a secret that could destroy their lives. Suddenly, when Rahul threw the bracelet into the water, Lakshmi appeared on the horizon. She approached him with a look that did not promise anything good. Darkness engulfed everything around, leaving only a shadow on the Ganges bridge to witness the beginning of this story of betrayal. The next day, Anushka could not stop her thoughts. She continued to watch Rahul, gathering more evidence to prove his connection with Lakshmi. Sanjay, a private detective, found documents that showed that Rahul's business started to grow immediately after the disappearance of the same businessman who was once Lakshmi's lover. All the threads seemed to lead to one event. The night this man disappeared, Anushka decided to meet Lakshmi face to face to find out the truth. She did not tell Rahul about her plans, coming up with the excuse that she was going to visit a friend in another city for a few days. The meeting with Lakshmi was scheduled at an old warehouse on the outskirts of town, a place that had long been abandoned but still held memories of past events. Lakshmi appeared on time, dressed in a simple sari, but with a look that spoke louder than any words. "Have you decided to take matters into your own hands?" Lakshmi asked, with a smile that was more frightening than warm. "I need the truth," Anushka answered directly. "What happened to that man who disappeared? And what was Rahul doing here?" Lakshmi leaned forward, her eyes flashing in the semi-darkness of the warehouse. "You think you know the truth, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. That man, he didn't just disappear. He paid for his sins. Rahul was just a tool, but now he himself has become part of a game he has no control over. Anushka did not back down. What are you saying? Rahul is involved in his death? Lakshmi did not answer immediately. She pulled out an old bracelet from her bag, the same one that Rahul had thrown into the water at the ghat. This is not just a bracelet. It is a symbol that we are all connected. You have the right to know the truth, but are you ready for it? Because it can destroy your life. Anushka took the bracelet and felt the coldness of the metal in her hands. She realized that she was now standing on the edge that separated her from the reality she knew and a world where all her ideas could be shattered. I'm ready, she said firmly. Tell me everything. Lakshmi nodded slowly, realizing that there was no going back. She began the story of how Rahul got involved in the disappearance case, how the businessman became their victim, and why it all had such a profound effect on their lives. She talked about the blackmail, the lies that went on for years, and how the game eventually led to Lakshmi coming back to dot all the dots. When the story ended, Anushka realized that her life would never be the same. She had a choice: either accept this truth and keep the secret, or destroy everything, including herself. Anushka returned home late at night. Her mind was full of thoughts, and her heart was heavy with the new truth she had learned. She felt like a person standing on the edge of an abyss and trying to understand whether it is worth taking a step forward. Rahul was waiting for her at home. He sat in the living room with a glass of wine, staring out the window into the darkness. His face was focused, but when he heard the door open, his expression changed to one of worry. You're late, he remarked, trying to sound calm. Anushka just nodded as she passed him. She could no longer look him in the eye. His every movement seemed suspicious to her, every word a lie. She could feel an invisible wall growing between them. But now it was a wall of truth that she could no longer ignore. Have you been to your friend's house? Rahul asked, watching her. Yes, answered Anushka shortly, without even turning around. He fell silent, but it was clear that he suspected something was wrong. Anushka felt the tension rising, but did not allow herself to reveal any emotion. That night, she could not sleep. Thoughts about what she learned from Lakshmi did not give her peace. The bracelet she had brought with her was in a drawer by the bed, and every time she saw it, she felt sick. In the morning, when Rahul left for work, Anushka gathered her thoughts and decided to make a move. She met Sanjay in his office and handed over the bracelet to him. I need you to find out everything about this bracelet and find the connection between it and what happened to that businessman, she said, without hiding the desperation in her voice. Sanjay examined the bracelet carefully and nodded. It might take a while, but I'll do my best. Anushka knew that she was dealing with more than just betrayal right now. She felt that she was approaching a solution that could destroy her entire life, but at the same time, she could not live in the dark any longer. In the days that followed, Sanjay continued his investigation, while Anushka tried to act as if everything was normal. But deep down, she knew there was no way back. She dared to meet Rahul and tell him that she knew everything. But just as she began planning this conversation, new information came from Sanjay that turned everything upside down. Sanjay found out that the bracelet didn't just symbolize their relationship with Lakshmi. It was connected to an important piece of evidence that had gone missing years ago. The bracelet was one of the few items left after the businessman's disappearance, and it appears that Rahul kept it as proof of his crime. Anushka realized that she now had a weapon against her husband, but the question was whether she would be able to use it. She knew that if she revealed everything she knew, it would lead to disaster. She was faced with a difficult choice: to protect herself and destroy her life, or to live on in a lie. Anushka decided to act. She arranged to meet Rahul, choosing the place where it all began, the same old warehouse where she met Lakshmi. This time, she was going to end it all. She knew she was risking everything, but she couldn't live with that truth anymore. When evening came and she found herself in an abandoned warehouse, her heart beat faster. She stood in the dark, waiting for Rahul, and held in her hands the bracelet that now became a symbol of her decision. Soon, the doors of the warehouse opened, and Rahul walked in, not knowing that this evening could be the last of their marriage. The old warehouse was filled with a silence that seemed almost tangible. Anushka stood in the middle of the dark room, clutching the bracelet that became a symbol of her determination. Her heart was beating so fast she could barely think. One thought echoed in her head: would she be able to implement her plan and destroy the life she and Rahul had built for so many years? Rahul entered the lineup cautiously. His face was tense. He felt that something was wrong, but he still didn't know what was waiting for him. When he saw Anushka standing in the center of the room, he stopped. "What are you doing here, Anushka?" "Why are we meeting here?" he asked, his voice filled with suspicion. Anushka looked up, her gaze cold and determined. "We need to talk, Rahul. Here and now. I know the truth about what happened to that businessman. I know about your connection with Lakshmi and how you covered up the crime together." Rahul turned pale. He did not expect such a turn. "What are you saying? It's not true." He tried to defend himself, but there were already notes of panic in his voice. Anushka took a step forward, holding the bracelet in front of her. "This is your last chance to confess. If you tell the truth, maybe I can forgive you. But if you keep lying, I'll go to the police with this." She showed him the bracelet, like it was evidence that could ruin his whole life. Rahul shivered. He realized that there was no point in lying anymore. He sighed and fell to his knees in front of Anushka, his voice shaking as he began to speak. "I didn't want this to happen. That man, he threatened to ruin our lives. Lakshmi and I, we just wanted to protect ourselves." Anushka felt a cold wave of fear run through her body. She hadn't expected him to confess so easily. Her hands began to shake, but she gathered her strength. "Did you kill him?" she asked, barely holding back tears. Rahul did not raise his eyes. "We had no choice. He threatened us both. Lakshmi came up with a plan, and we carried it out. I didn't want to do it, but I was cornered." Anushka felt anger rise in her chest. Everything she knew about this man now seemed like a lie. Her marriage was built on blood and lies, and now that the truth was out, she could no longer live with him. "You deserve to be punished, Rahul," she said, wiping tears from her eyes. "And you will get it." Rahul looked up, realizing that he was losing everything. "Please, Anushka, don't do this. We can find a way out. I'll do anything. Just don't go to the police." Anushka looked at him with contempt. "Your time is up, Rahul. You have chosen your path, and now you are reaping its fruits." She turned sharply and headed for the exit, leaving Rahul on his knees in the dark warehouse. Her steps echoed with a loud thump in the empty room. She knew she had made the right choice, but her heart was heavy with pain and disappointment. As she exited the building, the night wind hit her. She took a deep breath, feeling the freedom fill her lungs. She decided to go to the police and tell everything she found out. She knew it would ruin her life, but she couldn't live the lie any longer. Having stopped the taxi, she went to the station, where Sanjay was already waiting for her. When she stepped inside, she was met with a serious look from him. "Are you ready?" he asked. Anushka nodded. "Yes, I'm ready." They entered the inspector's office together, where Anushka began to tell everything she knew. Her testimony was accepted as a key piece of evidence in the investigation, and she knew it was just the beginning of a long process. The process was long and exhausting. Rahul was arrested the next morning after Anushka gave her statement to the police. Lakshmi was also arrested, and both were charged with murder and concealment. Rahul tried to defend himself in court, but the evidence was too convincing. The bracelet, the collected testimony, and the documents provided by Sanjay put an end to this case. The trial lasted several months. Rahul and Lakshmi got life terms. When the verdict was announced, Anushka felt devastated but relieved at the same time. She knew she had done everything she could to get justice, even if it ruined her life. After the trial, Anushka decided to leave Varanasi. The city that was once her home now reminded her of painful memories and betrayal. She sold her house and moved to another city where she could start from scratch. Sanjay remained her only friend and support. He helped her find a new home and start a new life. They met from time to time, and he convinced her that she had made the right choice. However, Anushka knew that her heart would bear the scars of this experience for a long time. Years passed. Anushka began working as a volunteer at a charitable foundation, helping women who have experienced difficult life situations. She found her mission in this, realizing that her own pain and experience could be a source of support for others. One day, when she was holding another meeting with women, a young girl who had experienced a similar situation approached her. She told Anushka her story and thanked her for inspiring her to fight for herself. Anushka realized that despite everything, she was able to turn her pain into something good. Her life changed, but she was able to find a new meaning and start over. Later, Anushka was even able to restore relations with her family, who supported her in a difficult time. She learned to trust people again, although now she did so more cautiously. Her marriage to Rahul was in the past like a dark memory, but she no longer let him influence her future. Anushka's life took on a new meaning. She was no longer the naive girl she once was. Now, she was a strong woman who had walked through the fire and come out victorious. And although the scars of the past remained forever, Anushka knew that she had won. She destroyed a life built on lies and built a new one based on truth and justice. And in this new life, she finally found her peace.